Your dog hasn't touched their food in 2 full days, and the bowl sits completely full. You've tried everything you can think of, different food, different bowl, hand feeding, adding treats, nothing works, and now you're standing in your kitchen, staring at a dog refusing to eat. You're caught between frustration and fear, not knowing which direction to turn for answers. Is this behavioral? Is this medical? Are they being picky? Or are they actually sick? And the longer it goes on, the more the question shifts from why to what am I missing? Veterinary nutritionists, animal behaviorists, and researchers studying appetite regulation will tell you something important. When a dog stops eating, it's never just about the food in the bowl. Appetite is one of the most reliable indicators of overall well-being in all animals. It's governed by complex systems involving hunger hormones, stress hormones, pain signals, and gastrointestinal function. Emotional state also plays a huge role in whether a dog will approach the bowl. When a dog refuses food, something in that entire system has shifted and changed. And while sometimes the cause is simple, sometimes it's the first sign of something serious. The challenge is knowing which one you're dealing with before it gets worse. Let's start with the medical possibilities because these are the ones you cannot miss. Gastrointestinal issues are the most common reason dogs suddenly stop eating their food. Nausea, gastritis, pancreatitis, or an intestinal blockage will make a dog refuse food completely. A dog experiencing any of these will refuse food because eating makes them feel worse. They don't understand why they feel bad, they just know food equals discomfort and avoid it. If your dog's appetite loss is paired with vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy, or abdominal sensitivity, this isn't behavioral at all, this is purely medical and needs a vet immediately. Dental disease is another frequent culprit, especially in older dogs with worn teeth. A cracked tooth, gum infection, or oral tumor makes eating hurt, so they stop trying. But they're still hungry, so they might approach the bowl, sniff it, then walk away. They want to eat the food, they just can't because it causes them too much pain. If your dog is drooling more than usual, pawing at their face or chewing on one side, check their mouth carefully, look for redness, swelling, broken teeth, or anything painful. Then there's pain elsewhere in the body that you might not immediately connect to eating. Arthritis, hip dysplasia, or spinal issues can make bending down to the bowl hurt. If bending down triggers pain, some dogs will skip meals rather than trigger that pain. Elevating the food bowl sometimes solves this problem immediately without any other intervention needed. If your dog is older, moving stiffly, or reluctant to lie down or stand up, pain might be suppressing their appetite indirectly. They're not refusing food, they're avoiding the act. And then there are the serious ones: kidney disease, liver disease, cancer, and systemic infections. All of these can present initially as simple appetite loss with no other obvious signs. That's why veterinarians consistently say the same thing about dogs who won't eat. If a dog refuses food for more than 24 to 48 hours, you need blood work, especially if paired with any other symptom like lethargy, vomiting, or behavior change, because appetite loss is often the earliest detectable sign of internal dysfunction and disease. But let's assume you've ruled out medical causes and the vet gave the all clear. Blood work is normal, teeth are fine, no pain anywhere. The dog is completely healthy and they're still not eating. Now we're in behavioral territory and it gets layered. The first possibility is learned pickiness, and this is almost always created by the owner. Here's exactly how it happens. Your dog skips a meal and you immediately panic. You add chicken to the kibble and they eat it all up happily. The next day, they refuse plain kibble again, so you add more chicken and rice. Maybe you even open a can of wet food and mix it in generously. You've just taught your dog that refusing food gets them upgraded and better food. Now they're not eating because they're not hungry. They're eating because they've learned waiting works. This is called inadvertent reinforcement, and it's one of the most common behavioral eating issues. The fix is simple, but hard to do emotionally. Put the food down for 15 minutes. If they don't eat it, pick it up. No treats, no alternatives, no upgrades. Wait until the next scheduled mealtime and repeat the exact same process again. Within 2 to 3 days, almost every dog will start eating their regular food again, because the reinforcement for refusing has been removed, and they realize upgrades aren't coming. It feels cruel to do this, but it's not cruel at all, it's necessary. A healthy dog will not starve themselves. They'll eat when they realize options disappeared. But there's a second behavioral cause, and this one is purely emotional, not about food. Stress suppresses appetite. It's not unique to dogs. It happens in humans all the time. When the body is in a stress state, the nervous system prioritizes survival over digestion. Appetite drops because your body is preparing for threat, not for a meal. A dog experiencing chronic stress from a new pet, a move, or routine change may stop. Construction noise, separation anxiety, or a new baby can all trigger stress-related appetite loss. Not because they're not hungry, but because their nervous system has downregulated hunger for vigilance. If your dog's appetite loss coincides with a significant change in environment or daily routine, the fix isn't changing the food, it's addressing the underlying stressor causing the problem. More predictability, more routine, more safe spaces, and more calm reassurance from you. Sometimes the appetite returns naturally once the nervous system recalibrates and the dog feels safe. The third behavioral cause is less common, but worth mentioning because it happens often enough. Food aversion occurs when a dog ate something that made them sick, even just once. Even if the food wasn't the actual cause of the sickness, the brain associates it. If they happened to eat chicken and then got sick from something completely unrelated later, their brain associates chicken with nausea, and now they refuse to go near it. This is called conditioned taste aversion, and it's evolutionarily adaptive for survival in nature. Animals that avoid foods that made them sick in the past are more likely to survive. The problem is, the dog's brain doesn't distinguish between causation and coincidence at all. If they felt bad after eating something, they avoid it, period, end of story. The fix is switching to a completely different protein and flavor profile for a reset. If they were eating chicken, switch to fish. If beef, switch to lamb. Give the brain a complete reset with something that has no negative associations attached. There's also a social component that almost no one talks about when discussing appetite loss. Dogs are social eaters. In a multi-dog household, they eat more readily with others present. It's called social facilitation. The presence of others eating increases likelihood of individual eating. A single dog who loses their canine companion sometimes stops eating from grief, not hunger. The social context of eating has changed, and they're grieving the loss of their friend. And one of the ways grief manifests in dogs is through appetite suppression and withdrawal. Time helps, routine helps, companionship helps, but you can't rush the grieving process. Now let's talk about what happens if the refusal continues despite all your interventions, because this is where the stakes get real and the situation can become dangerous. Prolonged anorexia in dogs leads to a condition called hepatic lipidosis, especially in small breeds. When the body isn't getting food, it starts breaking down fat stores for energy. The liver processes that fat, but if fat breakdown is too rapid, liver becomes overwhelmed. Fat accumulates in liver cells, liver function declines, and a behavioral issue becomes life-threatening. This is why veterinarians will sometimes recommend appetite stimulants or even feeding tubes. It's not overreacting, it's preventing secondary complications that can be worse than original problem. So here's the decision tree you need to follow when your dog refuses food. If your dog refuses food and shows any other symptom, see a vet immediately. Lethargy, vomiting, diarrhea, pain, or behavior change all warrant an immediate veterinary visit. If your dog refuses food but is otherwise acting completely normal, wait 24 to 48 hours. Offer food at regular times. No treats, no upgrades, just the regular food. If they still won't eat after 48 hours, even with no other symptoms, see a vet. Get blood work done, get a physical exam, rule out the medical causes first. If medical is ruled out and the refusal persists, then consider the behavioral causes carefully. Learn pickiness, stress, food aversion, or social context, address the most likely one. But here's the thing. almost no one says out loud about dogs who won't eat. Sometimes a dog refuses food because they're trying to tell you something important, and you're not listening to what they're trying to communicate with their behavior. Maybe the food makes them feel bad, not acutely sick, just slightly off and uncomfortable, mild digestive discomfort, low-grade nausea, or bloating that you can't see from outside. They can't tell you in words, so they stop eating as their only form of communication. And if you keep offering the same food, they keep refusing because the message hasn't changed. That's not pickiness, that's communication, and you need to learn to listen to it. If you've ruled out everything else and your dog consistently refuses a specific food only, but willingly eats other foods with enthusiasm, listen to them and switch the food. Try a different protein source, a different brand, or a limited ingredient formula for sensitivity. Sometimes the dog knows something you don't about how that food makes them feel. And the fastest way to resolve the issue is to trust their feedback and adapt. So the next time your dog won't eat, take a deep breath and don't panic. Don't panic immediately, but don't ignore it either. Appetite is valuable data for you. And when a dog who normally eats suddenly doesn't, the data is telling you something changed. Your job is to figure out what changed: medical, behavioral, environmental, or emotional. The answer is in there somewhere. You just have to look carefully and systematically. And if you can't find it on your own, that's exactly what veterinarians are for. Because a dog who won't eat is a dog whose body or brain is saying something's wrong. And the sooner you figure out what that something is, the sooner you can fix it. If this changed how you see your dog's refusal to eat, subscribe and drop a comment. How long has your dog refused food? And what finally worked to get them eating again? And if you've ever wondered why your dog gets aggressive seemingly out of nowhere without warning, that's the next video. And the neuroscience of fear versus dominance will show you the truth. It's almost never what people think it is. And understanding it changes everything about training.